In the shadowed depths of a dense tropical forest, where the canopy barely lets the sun filter through, a creature sits frozen in distress. A monkey, once vibrant and lively, now bearing the grotesque testament of a relentless infestation. Its fur is matted, patches torn away to reveal mottled, swollen flesh beneath, oozing with a mixture of pus and blood that glistens with a sinister sheen. This is no mere scratch or simple abrasion. What we witness here is nature's darker machinery unfolding in all its raw, unsettling detail. The monkey's suffering is not silent. Every twitch, every grimace, speaks of a battle waged on a microscopic frontier, a violent siege by tens of thousands of tiny invaders. Beneath the surface of this horrid wound lies a thriving world of insect life. Parasites have burrowed deeply into the monkey's skin, creating tunnels and chambers within the soft tissue. These insects, small larvae and biting flies, feed relentlessly, their immature forms thriving in the warm, nutrient-rich environment of the wound. They consume not only the decaying flesh, but also healthy cells, extending the injury, while their waste products and secretions stir infection and inflammation. This infestation begins innocently enough. A few eggs laid by a fly, often unnoticed by the monkey, hatch into voracious larvae that find shelter within the wound's depths. Here, shielded from outside threats, they grow wild, protected by the very tissues they are destroying. Each larva painstakingly cranes its tiny jaws against flesh, secretes enzymes to dissolve solid tissue, and moves with a hunger that never satiates. The wound worsens, expanding like a festering crater, skin swelling and cracking with infection. Maggot masses wriggle and hum in the decay, a macabre life cycle playing out amid the suffering of the host. The surrounding skin is inflamed, hot, and slick with a foul-smelling discharge that, beneath the serene silhouette of the white horse, a grotesque horror has taken root. Here lies no image from a pastoral dream, but a living nightmare stitched into flesh. A massive hive, oozing, buzzing, and festering like an unholy beehive carved directly into the animal's side. The once pristine alabaster coat is stained with dark patches of infected tissue, and sticky honeycombs glistening with droplets of viscous secretions. The hive is not merely an infestation. It is a ravenous colony of tens of thousands of bees, exploiting the horse's wound as both shelter and food source, transforming living flesh into a grotesque apiary. Clusters of bees muster like sinister black clouds, penetrating open wounds and nesting deep into the skin's tender layers, their incessant droning a haunting soundtrack to the agony endured by the beast. Sticky honey trickles down the horse's flank, attracting flies and other tiny scavengers to the morbid feast, turning what should be a living creature into a battlefield between life and parasitism. The infestation originates when a colony of wild bees, driven perhaps by environmental displacement or sheer in the desolate expanse of the Arctic, where the biting cold reigns supreme, a haunting sight emerges from the shimmering ice. A polar bear, a majestic creature of the frozen north, bears a horrific honeycomb wound across its flank. This grotesque injury, resembling a gaping maw of nature's cruelty, is not merely a mark of battle or survival. It is a testament to the harsh realities of life in a world increasingly shaped by human impact. As the camera zooms in, the stark contrast of the bear's pristine white fur against the dark, oozing wound sends shivers down the spine. This is not just a story of a bear. It is a chilling reminder of the fragility of life in the wild and the unseen battles that rage beneath the surface. The honeycomb wound, a grotesque lattice of flesh and infection, is a breeding ground for barnacles, tiny crustacean hitchhikers that have found an unlikely home on this unfortunate bear. These barnacles, typically associated with the hard shells of whales or the rocky shores of the ocean, have adapted to cling to the bear's skin, feeding off the nutrients in the open wound. In the vast, unforgiving plains where the mighty bison roam, you might expect to witness the raw beauty of nature in its purest form. Instead, what you're about to see will challenge that notion, an unsettling spectacle of life clinging desperately to survival. Here stands a bison, colossal and powerful, yet marred by an open wound that looks less like a scar and more like a grotesque nest of writhing horror. This is not a battle wound from a rival or a predator's bite. This is a sinister infestation, a wasp nest embedded deep within the flesh of the beast. The sight is both revolting and fascinating. The gaping wound pulsates and festers, smeared with blood and pus, the dark reds and sickly yellows painting a picture far from nature's ideal. Within this grotesque crater, dozens of wasps, those insidious architects of misery, have made their home. Their tiny bodies crawl relentlessly over the wound's edges, working tirelessly to expand their nest, weaving their papery fortress from the organic decay that the bison's body involuntarily provides. These wasps, normally predators or pollinators seen darting between flowers, have morphed into parasites of a unique sort. Instead of attacking from the outside, they dig out a grim niche inside the living flesh, turning this proud mammal into a living hotel for their colony. Wasp larvae thrive in this macabre hive, feeding on the wounded tissue and any bacteria that begin to colonize the sinister cavity. The damage tears through the bison's muscle and skin, but nature's cruel balance demands it be endured. The bison's immune system wages a losing war, while the wasps sharpen their stingers and tend to their brood, feeding off the misery and decay. Each sting, each bite into the living flesh,